Hi, this is Robbie from Southern California, which is important today because that's what this video is on. Southern California, the hummingbirds that live, migrate, and breed through this area. We have gardens that have got flowers from our vegetables as well as other trees and plants growing, but I also put out gallons of hummingbird nectar a day because we have so many hummingbirds that visit, that migrate through here, as well as breed and live here all year round. Now there's supposed to be 6, and I can tell you that I have identified by photographs and videos 5 species. The only one that I have not seen or have not gotten a photograph of a mature male would be the Calliope. Now it is possible we have the immature going through here as well as females. As with a lot of hummingbirds, the males and females do not live in the same area. They simply breed and go off into the area in which they want to live, because a female raises the young all on her own, and the males are nowhere to be found when it comes to raising the young. So there's a lot of hummingbird species that do not live in the same area, not in the same habitat. I do believe we have the female Calliopes here because I have seen the birds where their flight feathers are much longer than their tail, and they're very tiny, and that is a big way to identify them as far as immature females and youngsters. But the ones that I have seen all through the year are, of course, the Annas. And the Anna is the one that nested on my kitchen window as well as all over the house, around the house. But she has raised multiple nests on my kitchen window. I know a lot of you have seen the videos right there on the hummingbird feeder, as I had to change that every day so she would have fresh food. And just so you know that once the babies opened their eyes, I unfortunately could no longer change that feeder. The feeder was removed. She finished raising the babies, but she got another feeder on the other window so she could feed off of that. And that was because I knew that she knew who I was, but it is possible that the babies might spook. So I didn't want to do that anymore as far as changing the feeder. And I did that with each nest. She had 6 nests there. So I had to make sure that once those babies had their eyes open, that she had a different feeder that she can protect and feed from to take care of her babies. So we have the Annas that are here all year round. Then we have the black-chinned that I do believe are here all year round, males and females. We also have the Costas that come in more in the winter and stay here until well into the spring, and then they disappear. They live here and they migrate through. I don't know if they breed in this area, but they're here and there, so you'll see them and then they disappear. Then we have the other 2 that you all know about, the Rufous and the Allens. 2 birds that are so similar that many times they can't even tell the professionals which are which until they catch them. The Rufous has much more rust on his body, and that's an easy way to spot them on the back. Their back is usually rust all the way down into their rump, where the Allen has a green back and rust colored only on the rump. But then you can find the Allens at times with the rust, or you can find the Rufous with the green sometimes. That's why it's hard to tell. And they're basically subspecies, so that's why they look so much alike. The real easy way to tell them is that the Allen is much more peaceful. I have found that they will feed with everybody on my kitchen window. They'll just not mind anybody. They'll all be very friendly. Where the Rufous is a little more dominating. He wants the feeder to himself and he'll try to drive them off, but with the hundreds and thousands of hummingbirds here, it doesn't really work that well. And that's a good way to tell them by their personalities, as the Rufous and the Allens do have different personalities. So that is the species that we have here, the 5 main species, which is the Annas, the black-chin, the Costa, the Allens, and the Rufous. Rufous I tend to find a lot in the garden. I'll set up feeders. A lot of the feeders I set up in the garden only have, let's say, 3 seats for them. So I don't have to worry about a lot of fighting and arguing because it's not as big as some of the feeders I have in my kitchen window, which could have 6, 8, 12, 16 birds could feed on one feeder. And they're very peaceful in the kitchen window. So you'll find a lot of times your Rufous in the garden, and you'll come to me and say, hey, I've got a bird that takes over the feeder and doesn't let anybody else feed. Well, if it's a little rusty colored bird, it's probably a Rufous, because that's the way they feed. They protect their flower and they don't want anybody else to feed from that. And that generally is the males. The females are usually out doing their own thing. So I hope I've given you some information on what we have here. Keep in mind, we started with 1 or 2 birds, and now in the winter when they're migrating through and a lot of them park themselves here and decide to stay here all winter, we have gone from 1 to thousands. And all you have to do is put out that food, 1/4 cup of white granulated sugar and 1 cup of water, mixed well till it's clear, in a feeder. And if you don't have that many hummingbirds, just put a little bit in the feeder and put the rest in the fridge and change it out every couple days. Just wash it and change it, and you should be able to build your numbers like I did. With that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody.